Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood, and today we're going to be learning all about the Alhambra in Granada, Spain. But before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. There's a room in the Alhambra known as the Hall of Secrets. It's said that the acoustics in this room are so perfectly engineered that if you stand in one corner and just whisper into the wall, a person standing on the opposite corner diagonally across this vast room can hear you clearly, even if the center of the room is noisy and crowded. What do you think? Could there really be such a marvel of medieval acoustical engineering, or is it all just a myth? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Our word for today is muqarnas. That's M-U-Q-A-R-N-A-S. Muqarnas is an architectural term that describes one of the most distinct and beautiful features within the Alhambra. It's a form of ornamental vaulting in Islamic architecture, often referred to as honeycomb or stalactite vaulting. Imagine looking up at the ceiling and instead of a flat surface or a simple curve, you see thousands of tiny niche-like cells stacked upon one another in a geometric pattern that resembles a honeycomb or the natural stalactites found in a limestone cave. The Arabic word muqarnas is believed to be derived from the Greek word koronis, meaning a cornice or curved line. In the Alhambra, these structures aren't just for show. They function by breaking up the structure of a dome into small, manageable parts that catch and reflect light in dazzling ways. In the Hall of the Two Sisters in the Alhambra, the ceiling is composed of over 5,000 of these tiny cells, creating a star-shaped dome that looks like it's dissolving into the heavens. It's absolutely breathtaking, and that's just one of the amazing features of this historic landmark. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about the Alhambra. Number 1. The Alhambra's water system functioned almost like an ancient form of air conditioning. The builders of the Alhambra were master hydraulic engineers who diverted the Darro River nearly 4 miles upstream to create a gravity-fed water system that required no mechanical pumps. And this went beyond drinking water. They integrated running water into the floor planes of the palaces, ensuring that the water flowed through open channels in the courtyards and rooms to cool the air through evaporation. The system is so sophisticated that it created a constant, gentle breeze even during the blistering heat of a Spanish summer. By combining this water flow with thick walls and strategically placed windows near the ceilings to vent hot air, they maintained a comfortable indoor temperature all year round. It's a brilliant example of passive cooling design that modern architects still study today for sustainable building practices. Number 2. The famous Dutch artist M.C. Escher found his greatest inspiration on the walls of the Alhambra. Before he became world famous for his impossible staircases and mind-bending drawings, M.C. Escher visited the Alhambra in 1922 and then again in 1936. He became absolutely obsessed with the geometric tile work known as tessellations. He spent days copying the interlocking patterns of the Moors, which featured repetitive motifs that fit together perfectly with no gaps or overlapping. This visit changed the trajectory of his art forever. He moved from landscapes towards regular division of the plane, and that largely defined his career. I think it is worth pointing out that while he was inspired by the tessellations he saw in the Alhambra, Escher's work was quite different. The Alhambra artists used abstract geometric patterns to avoid depicting living beings. This was to fit in with the religious beliefs in the Islamic faith, but Escher took their mathematical grid concepts and transformed them into interlocking birds, fish, and lizards. Still, while a lot of the specific details and subject matter may be different, you can definitely draw a direct line from the walls of this 14th century palace to the famous posters found in college dorm rooms everywhere today. Number 3. Oddly enough, an American author is largely responsible for saving the Alhambra from total ruin. By the 19th century, the Alhambra had fallen into severe disrepair. It had been used for barracks for Napoleon's troops and later inhabited by squatters, thieves, and just wandering animals. It wasn't until the American writer Washington Irving, famous for The Legend of Sleepy Hollow, moved into the palace in 1829 and wrote his collection of essays, Tales of the Alhambra, that the world took notice again. Irving's book romanticized the crumbling fortress and captured the imaginations of readers across Europe and America. This helped to spark a wave of tourism and international interest. The newfound fame for the building led local authorities to start clearing out the squatters and begin massive restoration projects to save the site. And now today, there's a statue of Washington Irving near the entrance to the palace to honor his contribution to preserving this World Heritage Site. Number 4. The Fountain of Lions originally was no ordinary fountain, it was a precise water clock. The centerpiece of the Palace of Lions is a stunning alabaster basin supported by 12 white marble lions. But in its original design, it was more than just a decoration. Historical accounts suggest that the fountain functioned as a water clock where water would flow from the mouth of a different lion depending on the hour of the day. This required an incredibly complex balance of water pressure and tank engineering that has actually been lost over the centuries. When later restorers tried to understand how the system worked and dismantled the parts of the hydraulic mechanism, they actually couldn't figure out how to put it back together to maintain the clock function. Now the water flows from all 12 lions simultaneously, which is beautiful, but the secret of that ancient timekeeping mechanism is still a mystery. And our fifth and final fun fact for today. The name Alhambra refers to red clay, but the walls were originally white. The name Alhambra comes from the Arabic Al-Qal'a Al-Hamra, which translates to the Red Castle, referring to the reddish hue of the clay bricks used in the outer fortifications. But recent research and restoration efforts suggest that when the castle was first built, the exterior walls were covered in a whitewash that was designed to make the fortress shine brilliantly in the sunlight. Over the centuries, the whitewash eroded away, revealing the red clay underneath and giving the castle its signature sunset orange color we see today. It's just such a perfect irony that the building, famous for being red, even named for being red, was originally designed to be bright white, standing atop the green Sabika Hill. Now for some news you can use. If you're planning a trip to Spain to see the Alhambra, obviously you need to book your tickets in advance. They say at least like 3 months in advance. But the real pro tip is to focus on when you get there. Aim for the very first time slot of the day, usually 8:30 a.m. The complex is massive, and by noon, the crowds can be overwhelming, which takes away from the peaceful, contemplative atmosphere the architects intended. Getting there right as it opens not only beats the heat and tour bus crowds, it also gives you the best chance to take photos of things like the famous Court of the Lions without hundreds of people in your shot. And also, bring your own water bottle. As I said earlier, the people designing the palace were masters of hydraulic engineering, and there are several fountains with potable drinking water inside the complex, so you can stay hydrated for free while you explore. Now for the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked, can you really hear a whisper across the room in the Hall of Secrets? Well, that's a fact. The Hall of Secrets lies beneath the Palace of Charles V within the Alhambra complex, and the acoustics work exactly as the legend claims. It's all about the geometry of the room, specifically the elliptical domed ceiling. When you speak normally, sound waves spread out in all directions and dissipate quickly, which is known as the inverse square law. But when you whisper into the curved wall of the gallery, the sound waves cling to the surface of the concave wall, a phenomenon known in physics as the whispering gallery effect or creeping waves. Instead of bouncing back and forth across the middle of the room, where they would get jumbled up and lost, the sound waves travel along the curved surface like a train on a track. Because the angle of the wall is constantly turning the sound inward, it prevents the sound from spreading out and losing energy. This allows the message to arrive at the opposite side with almost the same clarity as when it left your mouth. The elliptical room has two focal points. If you stand at one focal point and speak, the sound reflects off the wall and converges perfectly at the second focal point. This means that two people standing at these specific spots can have a private conversation across a crowded room, while a person standing in the very center between the two focal points would hear nothing but muddled noise. It's a stunning example of how math and physics can create something that feels almost like magic. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about the Alhambra with me today. Be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.